indoors without getting busted. But I'm speaking mainly to the hundreds of thousands of closet growers that want to grow 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 plants in their house safely. You know, some people say it's safer to grow their marijuana at home than having to hit the street and meet a drug dealer in a parking lot somewhere. Unfortunately, every year police seize millions of dollars worth of cash and property from marijuana growers. Police are more interested in taking your property and your money than placing you in jail. It's turned into a huge industry for law enforcement. There are 3 enemies of grow rooms: heat, people, and sloppiness. Heat is your enemy because marijuana takes lights to grow indoors, and lights generate excessive heat. People are your enemy because they're the traffickers of information, and if they get mad at you, or if they're paid to do so, they will inform. And finally, sloppiness is your enemy. Unfortunately, growers get busted every year because they didn't have the information they needed to control the evidence. FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar, which is a heat imaging camera, is one of my favorite topics because it's so surrounded in mystery and rumor. I'm going to explain to you exactly what a FLIR can see and what a FLIR can't see. And then I'm going to teach you how to beat that FLIR camera to make sure you never get raided. Forward-looking infrared radar, or FLIR or FLIR, can be mounted to helicopters, or they can even be handheld like a video camera. They cannot see through anything, so these cameras do not have the ability to see into your house and look at your plants. Forward-looking infrared radar simply is an imaging camera that takes pictures of heat. A really easy way for you to understand this is, you've seen a hot coals before, and you held your hand above the hot coals and you felt the heat. Well, those are infrared rays that you're feeling. They're invisible, but you can feel them. FLIR allows you to see those heat rays. FLIR cameras are used a lot in law enforcement in discovering indoor grow operations. They'll either fly over your house or creep up to your house with a handheld FLIR camera, hoping to detect excessive heat in your home. What you're seeing now is footage taken through a handheld FLIR camera. Notice the people walking. White is the most heat. Black is little or no heat. The reason people's faces show up white and bright is because we know the majority of the heat coming from a human escapes through their head. Notice the cars driving, how hot they are underneath. That's the exhaust. See how hot this car is underneath here because it's been driving down the highway? Notice how the fender wells are full of heat? That's from the friction caused by braking. So I want you to just study the heat patterns in this scene. We included trees and cars and people and lights. This is taken in total darkness. Notice the windows are very black because windows are cold. Touch your window, they're cold. Crawl under a car and notice it's very hot, especially one that's recently been driven. This car looks like it's been there longer because those caps or wheels are black, where this one looks like it's recently been parked because you can easily see the hot white underneath. Notice the truck driver here. See how he's appearing as white? That's because he's got a lot of body heat. By the way, these FLIR cameras are the ones that police use to locate suspects that are running from the cops. This footage was taken from 50 yards away at nighttime with the handheld FLIR. You can easily see these two people making an exchange from the front door of her house. I wanted this to burn in your mind how easily you can be seen with forward-looking infrared radar. I wanted you to see how sensitive FLIR cameras are. She places her hand on the car, and when she removes her hand, you will notice that FLIR detected heat left over from her hand. Now that will slowly begin to fade as it recools. Watch this transformer and telephone pole as we focus in with the FLIR. Look how hot that transformer is. A lot of electricity going through there. Look how hot the lines are. That's from the flow of electricity. Dogs expel heat out of their mouth, whether you knew that or not. They can't sweat. That's why they pant. Look how hot the mouth is. This is what a neighborhood looks like when holding a FLIR camera while driving down the road. And this is footage of the helicopter flying over a neighborhood. This gives you an idea of what FLIR looks like from the air. Now this is footage taken of a place of business and a house. Of course they wouldn't be able to see you pumping heat out from this height, but they'll get closer, and the FLIR cameras on helicopters have an amazing ability to zoom in. You're going to see this from afar off, and then you'll see it flip. Now that's a close-up shot of what you were seeing a bit ago. You'll see him flip back and forth. This is the close-up view, and you'll see it flip. Now that's a close-up shot of what you were seeing a bit ago. You'll see him flip back and forth. This is the close-up view, and the faraway view. So keep that in mind. If you hear a helicopter from far off, if he has a clear line of sight, he can see you. And you can see if somebody was pumping heat out of this building right here, it could be seen by the FLIR. They basically look for two things. One portion of the house that's glowing or showing excessive heat, or they look for heat being pumped out of your grow room. And coming up is what everybody wants to see, and that's an actual grow room under FLIR. Let's see if you can spot it before I point it out. Do you see it? That is heat being pumped out of a house. This spot right here. This is a basketball goal that you're seeing. This is an overhang from a porch connected to this house. The porch light's right here emitting the heat. This is not a light. That is heat being pumped out of the house from a grow room. That's what police look for. If your grow room is large enough that you must pump heat out of your house, it's much safer to pump it into the floor and under the house if you have a pier and beam. This is impossible to do with the concrete slab, so pick a house that's pier and beam and run the vents under the house. This causes the heat to spread out and it cannot be detected by FLIR. If you're using the really hot lights like the mercury halide or the high pressure sodium, you can actually have 1,000 watt light in a room, and that heat will spread throughout the entire house and FLIR cannot pick it up. The idea is to spread the heat throughout your house much like a heater does in the wintertime. FLIR cannot detect that. It's the concentration of heat that FLIR detects. If you have a small grow box in your house or you're growing in a closet, the heat generated from the lights can easily be vented into the rest of the house, again avoiding FLIR detection. Another great idea, if you must pump heat out of your house, is to pump the heat through your clothes dryer vent. Then if FLIR cameras get around your house, it simply looks like you're drying a load of clothes. Another guaranteed method you can use to ensure the footage of a FLIR camera doesn't show up on a search warrant affidavit is to grow using fluorescent lights and LED lights. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding the quality of the bud when a grower uses fluorescents, but I've interviewed at least 50 growers, and at least half of them tell me you can grow a good quality bud using a high-powered fluorescent lights referred to as the T5s. Fluorescent lights use very little electricity and they generate almost zero heat. So using these type of lights ensures no heat, therefore no FLIR imaging. The LED lights, light emitting diodes, are new on the grow scene. As far as how well they help plants grow, it's up for controversy, but I do know this. They generate very little power and zero heat like the fluorescents. So if you find out they do work, I highly recommend a combination of the fluorescents and the LEDs. You have to weigh the cost of gel versus the perception of a lesser quality bud. There's another disadvantage to using the lights that create a lot of heat. For one, they create suspiciously high electric bills, and that heat often causes fires. So if you're using these type of lights, keep it in check, make sure you've got everything tight, or you could come home to a burned down grow room. The second enemy to your grow room operation is people. People under pressure by the police will do crazy things, including tell on you to get you busted. I know you're proud of that garden. I know you worked hard on that garden. The fewer people that know about your grow room, the safer you are. In fact, you can count on your hands that every person that knows about your grow room increases your chances of getting busted by 10%. If 10 people know about your grow room, there's a 100% chance you're going to get busted. So keep it secret. Did you know that electric company employees are paid money by the police to report high electricity bills? I heard of one case that electric company employees are getting paid $1,000 per report. That's very enticing to an electric company employee that might not be making that much money. So you have to keep your electric bills down so that person doesn't become the enemy of your grow room. Some growers choose to steal electricity by routing the electricity around their meter. Don't do that. That's stealing. There are too many other ways to grow pots safely without having to steal electricity. The third enemy of your grow room operation is sloppiness. Most people just simply do not have the information needed to help them control the evidence that the police can use against them. Growers constantly make sloppy mistakes when trying to get the grow equipment into their house. There is a safe way to get everything you need to grow marijuana to your door without getting busted.